Hey guys, and happy Tuesday. I hope your day is going well. I know mine is. So, there's something that I want to talk to you about today. This is actually a video I wasn't sure I would ever make. Um, but before I even get started, I am going to just say that this video does deal with suicide and suicidal thoughts and tendencies. So if this is something that would be like triggering or bad for you, then please don't watch it. Go watch something else. And I will hopefully see you all on Friday when I do my regular music cover video. So, um, September, if you don't know, is Suicide Prevention Month, which is one of the reasons why I have decided to actually make this video, even though I haven't I haven't really thought about making this video. Um, I never thought I would make this video, actually, because suicide is something that we as a society don't really talk about very much, and it's something that I haven't even talked about with many people. Like, I've talked to my best friends about it, and I've talked to my mom about it. Um, but what I'm going to be sharing with you is the um, is my suicide story. Um, Now, the thing that I need you to keep in mind is that I don't remember a lot of the issues or events surrounding my attempt of suicide because I don't know if it was like a survival instinct that I blocked them out or if it was because it was so long ago, but I have struggled with suicidal thoughts for a long time. And I mean, it's been several years since the last time I thought about it, but um, when I was younger, it was something that I thought about a lot. Um, the only time that I've actually attempted suicide, I think I was in like sixth or seventh grade, so I was 11 or 12. Um, and those were a couple of years that were really difficult for me. Middle school itself was just, I like to call them the three worst years of my life because they were really bad as far as like um, dealing with who I was and the way people perceived me and um, just with the whole, all the hormones and the boy girl dynamic, it was a hot mess. um, but what I do remember is this. I've been teased my whole life. Something that I have had to deal with since like kindergarten. Um, when I was really young, we didn't have a lot of money, so, you know, we got our new school clothes from like the Goodwill or, you know, the clearance rack at JCPenney. You know, we didn't get to buy the brand new latest like $40 jeans when I was a kid, which, you know, I didn't particularly care about, but it was something that my peers cared about. Um, and there was a lot of time that I spent in those 3 years dealing with my own self-worth, you know. I didn't feel like I was contributing a lot to anything, to the world around me, to my family. And I couldn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. Um, and because of being made fun of and because of a lot of things that I don't even remember exactly what they are, but I remember the feeling of what they are, if that makes any sense. I just remember it was a very dark period in my life, and I just remember one day, I think I came home from school, and I was incredibly depressed, although I didn't have the right words to say I was depressed, you know? And if you would ask my friends or my family, they probably wouldn't have said I was depressed or anything. They probably would have said I was maybe being a moody middle school kid. But I was very depressed in middle school, and I just remember I came home one day from school and I was thinking that, you know, things were terrible and that the world didn't need me, my family didn't need me, nobody needed me, so what was the point of staying alive? And the thing that really brought this to the forefront for me more recently is that a friend of mine, her 12-year-old daughter attempted suicide, and that really shook me. And then I was reminded of the fact that I tried to commit suicide when I was 11 or 12. So it was shocking, and it brought back a lot of crazy bad memories, and it was a very revealing thing for me, because I'd known that I'd thought about suicide, but I'd never remembered exactly, or I'd buried the memory of my attempt at suicide. And the way that I attempted it was through suffocation. You know, you're about, don't put plastic bags over your head because you'll die. Well, that's what I did. I attempted suicide that way. And what happened was that I just, when it started getting hard to breathe, I freaked out. And I don't know if this was natural survival instinct or what it was, but I just know that I freaked out. I ripped the bag off of my head and like was panting for breath. But I never said anything to anybody about it. I never talked to my teachers. I never talked to my parents about it, my friends, the school counselor, anybody. I never said a word of it to anybody. Probably because I was afraid that they would, I don't know, put me in a mental institution, or that they would freak out or whatever, or try to fix the problem. I'm not sure, but I never told anybody. And after I'd heard about my friend's daughter, I did write her a letter to just to let her know that she's not alone in feeling these things, in thinking these things, that being 11 and 12 and 13 and sometimes being 30 can be a very hard thing, and middle school especially is difficult. And when I heard about her attempted suicide, I got really angry. Not at her, and not at her family, or even my family, or anybody like that. I got really angry just at the statistics, which are staggering if you look them up. And the most recent information I could find was like from 2 or 3 years ago on teen suicide. There are millions of people who attempt suicide, who think about suicide. And a lot of the failed attempts at suicide don't even go reported at all. You know, I didn't talk to anybody about it. And I think if her family hadn't found her, that she wouldn't have talked to anybody about it either. Because there's so much shame societally around being depressed and around thinking about suicide, let alone attempting it. So, you know, it makes me so mad and so heartbroken to think about all of these people who try to take their lives, you know? One of the other statistics, one of the most shocking statistics that I read, is that 1 in 9 high school graduates have attempted suicide at some point before they graduate high school. 1 in 9. Now, I had a lot more friends in high school than I had in middle school. And I think about that. How many people, how many of my friends have thought about or attempted suicide before we graduated and never said anything to anybody about it? Think about your friends in high school. 1 in 9. Were you that 1 in 9? Was it somebody else? Now, the reason I'm making this video isn't just to actually talk about my attempted suicide, but because I want to encourage you, if you have suicidal thoughts, if you are thinking of attempting suicide, if you have attempted suicide, tell somebody, talk to them about it, you know, because it's better. The problem isn't going to go away just by burying it. And it's not anything to be ashamed of. You know, we all get depressed and we all have these thoughts. And some of us try to act on them. And, you know, sometimes we succeed, and that's the worst part. And I know I've talked about suicide a little bit on my channel before, but I felt like I really needed to share this story with you guys. And if, you know, this is the first time you're hearing about it and it makes you mad that I didn't talk to you about it, I'm sorry. I didn't know how to. But I am going to put a few links in the description below, just to resources, to the crisis text line, which if I'd had that when I was a kid, maybe I wouldn't have actually tried to commit suicide. I mean, it's an anonymous text, and they'll text you back, and they can talk to you about it, and you can tell somebody, even if it's not somebody you know, but you can tell somebody, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, please help me. And I'm also going to put a link to an organization called To Write Love on Her Arms, which has a really great history, and it's a community of people where you can get connected with other people who've dealt with depression, who are dealing with depression and suicide and suicidal thoughts and anxiety and all of these things which can lead to depression and attempting suicide. But it can also connect you to local resources, to psychologists, to a phone number for a crisis helpline, to people who can help you if you're considering suicide. And if you are, please stay alive, because I know that things can get hard and they can get really bad and scary, and maybe you're in a situation where you feel like you can't get out of it. But you can. And there is help out there. And there are people in this world who will need you. So please stick around. And that's all I have for right now. So, stay nerdy. Bye.